I'm going to talk to you about the criminal justice process. This is my audience. None of us want to be in the criminal justice system. Unfortunately, some of us make mistakes and end up in the criminal justice system, and I think it's important that you know the process and what to expect. I'm going to walk you through the process from the time you're arrested until you're sentenced. I've worked in the criminal justice system for 18 years. 16 years of that has been working for community corrections, supervising the people on home detention who are sentenced through the courts. Arrest and formal charges. Even if you're not taken to jail, you may have been placed under arrest. If you know anybody who's received a minor consuming ticket, they've been arrested. There's a court date on there. It's important that they go to that court date. If they fail to go to that court date, the court will issue a warrant. Once that warrant is served, then they will remain in jail until they appear in court. An arrest, even if you are incarcerated, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be formally charged. Police officers can arrest you, they can charge you, but the prosecutor in the county with which you are arrested is the only person who can formally charge you with a crime, and that's not necessarily going to happen depending on the police reports. Bond and initial hearing. You may not receive a bond depending on your felony status. The higher felonies do not receive a bond. They have to appear in court for their initial hearing, where the state reads them their formal charges. Once their formal charges have been read, the judge may issue a bond. There are some charges, obviously homicide, that don't receive a bond at all. You must know when your hearings are. There's several different types of hearings, and you need to appear to some and not to others. Your attorney can go to some, but you have to appear in person to some of your hearings. You need to know when those hearings are and appear, otherwise the court can issue a warrant. A plea agreement indicates that you're going to admit to committing the crime, not necessarily the crime that you're charged with, perhaps a lesser included offense. Maybe you got charged with dealing a drug, and you're going to admit to possessing that drug for a lesser sentence. Trial obviously is where witnesses are heard, evidence is submitted, and a jury decides whether you're guilty. If the jury does decide you're guilty, it's up to the judge on how much time you receive. Your sentence can be all suspended, a period of probation, part suspended, part executed, or all executed. If you receive an all executed sentence, then you will be released after you serve that sentence to parole 1 or 2 years. Depending on if it's your first sentence, your first prison sentence, then you'll have 1 year of parole. If you've been in prison before, you'll have 2 years of parole. Some crimes like drug charges and sex offenses have mandatory sentences. The court has to incarcerate you for a specific period of time or directly commit you to community corrections. The 4 things you need to know what you're being arrested for even if you're not incarcerated. Know if you've been formally charged. Know what your court dates are and when you're supposed to appear. Know what the recommended and mandatory sentences are for the crime with which you're going to plead or go to trial on. I hope this is helpful, and I hope that you don't have to use this in the future.